Don't ask, don't tell. Many of you know it as the law that had stopped homosexuals from openly serving in the military. As long as they kept it quiet, it was all good. They could do their American duty, but if they were gay and open about it, they could not. Well, thankfully, it had been abolished by Obama. The problem is not so much that policy that I'm talking about today. It's the policy that many employers still hold in their places of work. The don't ask, don't tell policy stops homosexuals from being open about who they are in any workplace. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, well, why do they have to be all open about it? What's the big deal? Okay, well, the biggest deal that I can make the most logical sense about is the fact that it doesn't stop there. The don't ask, don't tell policy also follows them back to their private life. For example, on Facebook, they cannot openly state things that they want to state without fear of their employer saying so. I actually know of quite a few homosexuals that do not use their real name or perhaps not even their real picture, all in fear of that other people or their employer might find out, and it could have major repercussions. I'm a part of a group called Dream for Equality, or Dream of Equality, which is fighting for the rights of the LGBT community. Our main goal is to legalize gay marriage, of course. But the other thing that I think is very important is to also abolish the don't ask, don't tell policies all the way around. My biggest concern for this was because of what I've seen today. Someone was actually worried that them being part of a group on Facebook would actually affect them at their job. That perhaps their employer would see that they support the dream of equality and get fired for that. I'm not blaming that person, and I totally understand their fear. However, they shouldn't have to feel that way. Don't ask, don't tell is no more than segregation. End of story. It is the same thing that had happened to the blacks back in the 60s when they were fighting for their rights. When they weren't allowed to use the same washer machine as a white person, when they weren't allowed to drink at the same drinking fountain as a white person, it's the exact same thing. The only reason why we don't have straight and homosexual drinking fountains is because homosexuals can stay in the closet. And so that's pretty much where society would prefer them to be. And it's really not fair. Think about it. Really think about it. How would you feel if you were told you can't be this way? No matter what it is, no matter what cause you fight for, if you cause for anything. All right, for example, let's say you like to play video games, and then suddenly somebody came in and said, you're not allowed to do it. Whatsoever, you are not allowed to do that. Or your favorite color is pink. Well, you can like pink, but you can never wear it again. How exactly would that make you feel? Now, I know there's a certain part of professionalism that they're worried about, but my biggest problem is this. Now, if you're worried about them being very flamboyant or whatever, if that's the biggest cause, and I've actually talked to people and that seems to be their biggest problem, well, first of all, let them be who they want to be. But secondly, my biggest concern, or my biggest argument to the whole thing, is what if one day something happens to their partner and they get a phone call and they have to leave? They have to either lie or make something up. Or, yes, just a phone call on one of their breaks and somebody happens to overhear. Like, let's say one man has his boyfriend call him and his boyfriend says on the other end, I love you, babe. Okay, and then the rest of his co-workers hear. It's not so much that he's being pushy or anything. He's being very hush-hush about it. However, since somebody had actually heard that, that could actually hurt his job. And that's not right. Why can't you sit there and talk on the phone to the person you love without having to worry about repercussions? You're always looking behind your back, and that's what don't ask, don't tell does, is that you're not able to do your job properly because you can't, all you're doing is focusing on hiding yourself. You're worried about everybody talking bad about you, you're worried about people harassing you, and then you're worried about people firing you on top of that. Don't ask, don't tell needs to be abolished. It's segregation. End of story. So if you have any thoughts on this video, go ahead and give them to me. I'd love a good reason why Don't Ask, Don't Tell is a good policy besides some homophobic policy. I really doubt you can actually come up with a good logical excuse as why it should still be there, but you know, I like to listen, or you know, I like to hear comments from the haters. So go ahead and hit me up, tell me what you think.